So if you remember last video, I ended it with talking about how I didn't have any more room on my shelf for any new models. And that's true, so I just bought a shelf. This one behind me. But because my OCD won't let me just buy a shelf on its own, it led me down a rabbit hole of just completely rearranging and re-cleaning my workspace, which is what I'm doing now. Currently going through a bin of Legos that I was probably planning on using to make molds of something, which never ended up getting around to. And right now I'm in the process of converting this box of Legos into just like an instant terrain kit. So if I just bring this wherever I'm gaming, and then I can just quickly set it up as like a quick terrain. Like, look at this. Look at this. That's an old Disney or Lego Dimensions piece. I don't know, it's probably like a vehicle of some kind. But I can imagine this is like a capture point in Turnip 28 or something. But just generally, that's what I've been up to, like for the last couple days or so. Just kind of sorting through this, focusing way too hard on individual aspects rather than getting it all just cleaned up. And I've been going through some old stuff, which I've always loved it. Even as a little kid, I would put like toys in bins and then put them up in the attic. And then a couple months later, when I got bored with the toys I was currently playing with, I'd go up in the attic and grab a different set of toys. I've always loved the feeling of rifling through stuff to find the stuff I want. That's why collecting stuff's always been a big part of what I like doing for hobbies. Just collecting things. I think I've definitely gone overboard with it. There was a while when I was really into buying Transformers. And don't get me wrong, I love Transformers, but goddamn are they expensive. It took me a long while to stop like wasting all my money on them. I mean, the only way I got over it was by buying just like smaller, cheaper Transformers. Like I sold all my actual Transformers. And I started painting my own. These are all of my Transformers that I've made and painted. But that's kind of what got me into painting miniatures, and then painting miniatures got me into crafting my own miniatures, kit bashing, scratch building, even sculpting. Maybe that's why I like kit bashing so much. It's because it allows me to collect just whatever kind of junk I want to buy, and I have an excuse to use it. Because it all goes in the junk boxes that I then use for scratch building. And you know what? I think I can pretty confidently narrow down where my collecting tendencies came from. It all came from Skylanders. Now, for some reason you have no idea what Skylanders is because you're either too old or you're too young. Hopefully you're not too young. I do say fuck a lot. Skylanders was a series of video games where the main gimmick was that you had to buy collectible toys. This is Lightning Rod, this is T-Rex. You had to buy these toys, and then you'd put them on a portal, a game base, and then you could then play as that toy's character in the Skylanders video game. Series ended in 2018, so now it's all dirt cheap. I have 16 tree rexes, and I've only used like 5 for models. Here, let me show you something. See this? That's a tree rex, or actually this is like 5 tree rexes that I just kind of sculpted together as one of my first ever kit bashes slash like sculpt builds. And I still really like it. I might repaint it. The moss I used is really shitty moss, so it's just constantly falling off. Anyway, I don't know why I was feeling particularly nostalgic for Skylanders today. So today I think I'm going to scratch build something using mostly Skylanders. I was fully prepared to start kit bashing with some Skylander models, but after going through all that stuff, all my old models, all my old figurines that I had on my shelf, I realized I didn't really want half of it. Like, it's all a lot of old stuff that I made when I was first starting this hobby, but a lot of it I don't really like still. I either fell out of love with it or it was just kind of shit. Like, I don't know. But a lot of them have sentimental value to me, because whether it's like the time I made it or I don't know, I just like the core of the model. Kind of got a little carried away and started completely rebasing and redoing, adding a bunch of garbage to some of my models. I'm a little hesitant about continuing this project because it feels like whenever I finish something, which for me the last thing I finished was the last YouTube video I made and my short film, American Wizard, which is on the same channel as this. I don't know, I felt a little burned out from just working on massive projects. I had a few things I was looking forward to, and one of those things were kit bashing Skylanders. And so it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying fixing these old models, but it doesn't feel like I ever do what I want to do in this hobby because I have obligations to another aspect of this hobby. And I've thought about just ignoring those obligations, but then I just have a bunch of things sitting around, unfinished things, which isn't very good because then I just have unfinished things sitting around, right? Nobody wants that, especially me. I hate having just clutter, which then leads back into the whole collecty thing I was talking about earlier. When does a collection become clutter, and when does a hobby feel like an obligation? I don't know. Check this out. Oh, look at that. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Look at that. And I really like this thing. But it isn't great. I'm gonna keep working on it just to, like, I don't know, get it off my conscience, I suppose. And that's what I've been telling myself with almost every project. Today's gone by really quickly, and all I've really done is clean my shack, my workshop. And I don't know if that's because I enjoyed the day, or it's because I've done a lot of cleaning today, like I finished stuff. But it just feels like the day is pretty gone, and I don't really have anywhere to, like, I don't know. I don't have any time of the day left. And I know I can't stay up too late because I stayed up very late yesterday just cleaning. My point is, I don't think my body can afford another sleepless and dinnerless night. Oh yeah. Sometimes I will ask myself, how much of what I make is actually mine? And how much of it is just somebody else's hard work that I'm piggybacking off of? I feel like this is something that everybody who kit bashes or scratch builds does. It's like, when does it become your achievement and stop being the person who originally made the pieces you're using? And, I don't know the answer to that, but it bugs me sometimes. But that's kind of besides the point with this one, because this is an original sculpt of mine that I made probably about 2 years ago now, that I stopped liking probably 6 months after I made it. But you know what? I kept telling myself I needed to get rid of it, and I was going to today. But then I don't know, I saw something in it. I saw something I liked about it. I decided to revamp it. There we go. That's proper cool, alright? It's pretty sick. I don't know how to describe it, but more than anything else I've ever made. And maybe it's just the honeymoon phase because I just made it. But I love looking at this. I really like this thing that I made. And I don't tell myself that super often because it's like whenever I finish a build, I'm kind of sick of it. So I finished the actual build and I've just moved on to painting. I don't know, I'm having some trouble with it because I built this thing, like the original sculpt, a long time ago. And I built it with a sort of cartoony look, like a sort of larger than life, very exaggerated proportions, very little texture detail, just kind of the broader shapes. And I did that because at the time that was the only way I knew how to sculpt. As I was painting this, I realized I keep trying to paint it as if it had a lot of detail on it. Like I'm doing highlights and shading and layering and all that, wet blending. But it just wasn't looking right. The colors are weird. And that's because I was trying to paint it as if it did have detail. As if it was something I made recently and not something I made a couple years ago. And I realized I need to not paint it as if I was painting it now. I needed to paint it as if I was painting it then. But at the same time, I just threw away a bunch of my old models because I didn't like the way I made it then. And I was going to do the same to this, but I saw potential in it. I decided to update it, make it with my modern artistic lens. So it's like, in order to make it look good, I gotta paint it like the old way. But if I paint it like the old way, it defeats the point of why I was painting it in the first place. And I think I just have to not worry about that. Like I've gotta just give up, as bad as it is to say, or as bad as it seems like it is to say that. I think I'm happy with it now, and I'm gonna continue being happy with it for a while, and that's good enough for me. I'm still gonna give it some rust though. I'm gonna paint rust on there. Yeah, I'm gonna paint rust. So, I've kind of been in the rut of just like wanting a world to get into. Should I get more into Star Wars? Should I get into Warhammer? I don't know, I wanted to learn some lore. I wanted to read books about that kind of stuff. I don't really have a lot of time for that, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna make time for even what I already was gonna do. And one of those things I was already going to do is make some terrain for a game called Mech 28. So I decided to split the difference. Bill Making Stuff, if you don't know, another YouTuber, has this world full of lore that I really enjoy. I've always really enjoyed it. When he announced that he was making another game, this one looks like it'll be a little bit more lore heavy because he's doing a lot of artwork for it. I decided, hey, why not? I'm gonna make some terrain for a game that doesn't exist. So I am making Faruma's head. Faruma is the rust god in the Bangarang lore. Yeah, right now I'm making that out of Sculpey 3. Why? Why not? I wanted to do it. This is how I'm enjoying my hobby right now. I am really struggling to not make this look really silly. Oh shoot. Oh, okay. Cut that on camera. Yeah, so my paint water just spilled and it got paint water all over everything I own. Anyway, really struggling to make this not look ridiculous because this smile is it's not doing him no favors. So I've never made scatter terrain before, so I was a little bit I wasn't quite sure what I was gonna use as the base of the terrain. So like cardboard or something. I thought about using cereal boxes, but I wanted it to be a little bit more sturdy. But I eventually decided on this. I think it's like a plaster or a plastic board. I don't know what it is. I just know it was on this sign. But given the chance, I'd probably vote dogs over the two candidates we have going right now. So I want to make Faruma's head, right? And Faruma's head, it is mostly buried under a pile of sand, but I thought that was kind of boring. I want to kind of put it at an angle and then like block off part of the face. So I just need to decide how to do that, which way to do that now. I think I have an idea, but it's not going to be pretty. I really need a Dremel saw to cut through things like this. Yeah, I don't have one, so this will have to do. I'm just gonna use a beefy box cutter to cut clay. I'm just marking where I want the junk to stop covering its face. Wish me luck. Oh, shit, that cut real nice. You know, I was not expecting that. I was kind of expecting it to put up a little bit of a fight. I probably shouldn't be cutting the way I am, because I'm definitely gonna cut myself while trying to do this. That's better than heroin. That's better than any opioid you can get your hands on. And I can get my hands on a lot of opioids. What we're gonna do with this extra stuff, all these extra bits of clay junk that fell off, I think what I'm gonna do with it is make more junk pile terrain. Maybe like broken up concrete is what I'll try and make it look like, but it'll just be the excess broken pieces of Faruma. Have I ever talked about how much I hate hot glue? It takes so long to heat up, and I refuse to buy a more expensive one than this like $6 one I got at Walmart. Because even if all of my problems with hot glue would disappear with a more expensive one, hot glue it doesn't work well enough to excuse spending that much money on it. I don't like hot glue very much. Alright. Here's the hot glue working properly. In my experience, hot glue tends to bond to foil and clay pretty well. The type of crafters who have hot glue as their go-to glue, the type of people that shop at Joann's Fabrics. I got a lot against Joann's Fabric. I don't want to talk about it, okay? That's not so bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't know what this is. I think this is from Orion's World diving toy. The best part about making your terrain all junky like this, like it's meant to be junk piles, is that any of those cutoffs, like the two bits I just cut off the Ryan's World diving toy, these things, you can literally just poke them back on. Just use all of your cutoffs. This is why I keep my bits of like jagged plastic and pieces that I don't necessarily need anymore, because you can always use them. And I'm not a hoarder. That really sounded hoardery. I didn't like that at all. This is from a model. It was like a kaiju chicken thing that I destroyed in the process of cleaning my shelves out. I kind of like the idea that it's gonna become part of something as a random piece of junk sitting right here. I'm gonna try my hand at some smaller terrain now. And I think I'm gonna dip into my bits box to try and get some more interesting shapes rather than just junk. Because the other one was mostly carried by the giant Pheroma head that I sculpted. This one won't have that advantage, so I want to give it a little bit something more defined. I kind of like the idea of just like an old toy being in there. Something that is very clearly something else, but in this context, who knows, maybe it's some part of a tank or an old mascot costume that would sit outside of a restaurant. Maybe an X-Wing, and I just do a bunch of pipe sticking up? Maybe. I found a Bumblebee model kit. I think I might have to kill Bumblebee to do for this next piece of terrain. As soon as I can figure out how to take apart the model kit. There we go. Fucking beautiful. Here's what I'm thinking. So Bumblebee face right there, Bumblebee arm right here, sort of sticking out like it's trying to rip out of the junk pile that it got stuck in however many million years ago when this random robot crashed somewhere, became all rusty. I don't think I want to use his fist. This is what I love about model kits. Sometimes you can just swap them. This is an Optimus Prime's hand. Absolutely no kit bashing required. Of course I say that and then I find out it's a different socket size. I might have to do some kit bashing. Okay. That's kind of disappointing. I was about to illustrate a whole point about how, like, it's not how much work goes into the thing that makes it cool. It's just what the thing ends up looking like in the process. And if it just happened to have taken a lot of work, then there you go. But no, sometimes you do have to put in a lot of work for a very little payout. There we go. So I'm thinking like this. Or, hold on. So you know those Final Faction action figures you can get at the dollar store? The ones for like $1.25, and they're all just kind of generic military figures, but they also have like aliens and weapons and stuff. Well, they also sell human weapon packs, accessory bundles. One comes with these grabby hands. Tell me that ain't right. Tell me that ain't right. There we go. I think this is the thing that killed him. Somebody or something jammed this like piece of jagged metal through his torso. And that's what finally killed it. I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty goddamn metal. I love making junk piles because they're the ultimate, just see if it looks cool, then do it type kit bash. Like, there's no trying to make a coherent shape. I don't have to worry about pieces that don't fit right, because everything fits right. Everything fits right when nothing is supposed to fit right. Look at that. Look, I just added this. This is a bunch of dried up green stuff that I didn't have a use for. So now it's just like a piece of scrap metal on this big bumblebee model kit that I hadn't touched in years. I was trying to think of how to make this piece of terrain a little bit like more noticeable, because it is going to blend in with my table of just kind of beiges and rust colors. But I think the way I'm gonna keep it unique is by leaving the arm articulation. I think that's a fun gimmick for the tabletop. Like, maybe every now and then somebody can just like futz with the arm. It almost looks like it's trying to pull out the piece of metal that shanked him. Right, like he's still maybe kicking, but just barely. Maybe he's trying to like grab his own head off to end his suffering. I don't know. These are metal ideas. I want to keep the metal open rather than restrict the flow of metal. So I'm going to leave the arm with its articulation.
And now for something completely different.